If you recall back in May, there were rumors circulating around that Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige was butting heads with Disney CEO Bob Iger over the direction of the upcoming X-Men movie for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Supposedly, Bob Iger wanted to make something that fans would enjoy. Meanwhile, Kevin Feige wanted to make something pushing the social justice agenda. Now, those were just rumors at the time, but according to these latest stories coming out right now, it seems like there is a little bit more validity to them. But before I dive into this, make sure you click that subscribe button. And if you can, leave a comment and click that like button because it really helps out with the channel. All right, so let's just dive into this story from The Wrap. Kevin Feige stands by Marvel's diversity. Marvel is the world outside your window. I said this before woke and DEI became a thing, and I am still saying it after, the Marvel Studios president and producer said. So there were some speculation that maybe he was going to try to tone down those sort of things because he understood that it's been unpopular in a lot of their latest movies, and that could account for a large reason why they've seen such a decline at the box office, whereas other movies that aren't pushing a social justice agenda have been succeeding. But it seems as if Kevin Feige hasn't really gotten rid of that sort of thing, or at least he's not interested in getting rid of that sort of thing. He still wants to do this. And one of the reasons why I think it is because he's a true believer in the cause. And I've said this before on the channel. You get a lot of these heads of these companies that are starting to backpedal when it comes to DEI and other things like that because they never really cared about it. They were just doing it because they thought it was the new trendy thing and they thought it was popular and it'd make them the most money. Come to find out that isn't the case. But while some of them are willing to back off on it, other ones like Kevin Feige are just doubling and tripling down on it because it's something that they truly believe in. While right-wing backlash against Hollywood efforts at diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, has led studios to back off corporate efforts to advance the practice, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige said he stands by his studio's efforts over the past several years to increase representation on set and on the big screen with characters like Black Panther and Ms. Marvel, and suggests that the MCU won't be pivoting away from that. Now, this article says it's just right-wing backlash, but unless the right wing is a predominant demographic of the box office, it's really more likely than not the majority of the public don't like this sort of thing. Now, in the past, there was basically three camps. There's the left wing who is pushing this sort of thing, the right wing who is rejecting it, and then there was the people in the middle who don't care one way or the other. They just want to watch good entertainment. And now, as time has gone on, those people have started to reject it. So now the majority of the movie going public, even the television watching public, do not like this sort of thing, and they've made their voices pretty loud and clear about this. People who aren't politically engaged are saying like, okay, we don't want you just to be shoving representation. We don't want to be lectured while watching the latest Marvel movie. We just want to watch something as a form of entertainment. And that's why a lot of Marvel properties have been failing in recent years, the ones that have been pushing this sort of thing. But Kevin Feige doesn't want to budge on this issue, apparently. I said this before, woke and DEI became a thing, and I'm still saying it after. Marvel is the world outside your window, Feige told reporters on Friday. It's not Gotham City and Metropolis. This is New York and LA. And yes, there's also Wakanda and Asgard, but it is all made up of people who make up our world. And no one's really objecting to telling authentic stories, like with Black Panther, for instance. No one's really questioning, like, well, why do you have a superhero set in an African nation made up of all black people? It's like, that just kind of makes sense. If they would have done a bunch of race swaps and other things like that, then that would have been something that people would have called out on and be like, okay, that seems a little bit weird if half the population of Wakanda, or if Wakanda was just a mix of various demographics that don't seem to make sense with the world that they're trying to establish. Then that would have been rightfully called out on it, because it's kind of breaking the illusion or breaking the immersion of the world that they're creating. And there's going to be people out there who would try to defend it by saying like, oh wait, no, this is a fictional place, so how can you say it's not ethnically diverse or anything like that? It's like, maybe there would be that going on right now, but it'd be pretty bad if that's how they tried to represent things. And that's basically what we get when it comes to a lot of these other fictional places, where you always have to see a very clean breakdown of all the different demographics, even if it doesn't necessarily make sense, except instead of replacing a bunch of black people with a bunch of other ethnicities, they're replacing a bunch of white people with other ethnicities. In 2018, Ryan Coogler's Black Panther became one of Marvel's biggest box office and cultural hits, grossing more than $700 million in the United States. Yeah, and that's because it was authentic to what it was trying to be. It wasn't trying to race swap or do anything differently. And fact, Black Panther was a popular character and a lot of people were excited to see him have his own movie for the first time. That's not a surprise that the movie, as a result, did very well. The wild success of the film added fuel to the conversation around diversity and representation in the movie and TV, and shows Hollywood could change its system to eliminate the prejudice that lead to fewer opportunities for women and filmmakers and actors of color. Now, this is the problem right here. When Black Panther did well at the box office, it wasn't, like I said, because he's a popular character in the comic books and a lot of people were wanting to see a Black Panther movie for quite some time. The only solution that people like this can think of, and I would say are the true racist people out there, are the ones who only look at the skin color. They think Black Panther only did well because he was a black guy and that was it. It's like, no, there's a lot of other reasons why he did good. He's a good character and he just happened to be black as well. But in recent years, and now with Donald Trump's return to the White House, many Hollywood studios have quietly backed off of DEI programs, either due to executives hired to run such programs exiting the company, or mounting pressure from the Trump administration to shut them down. And the reason why they're shutting them down is that these DEI programs at companies are actually, in fact, illegal. You can't discriminate against people because they're males or because they're white or because they're straight. A lot of companies have gotten away with that in recent years, but now that we have a new sheriff in town, they're cracking down on companies discriminating against people for those characteristics. And while some people think that, no, you can't discriminate against someone for being white, well, legally you can. And that's why the government's cracking down on companies doing that sort of thing, and why a lot of these companies are starting to back down on it. It talks about how Disney is facing FCC persecution for trying to rebrand their DEI programs. That's because that was against the actual policies set forth by the Trump administration, where you can't have DEI programs and you can't just change the name of your DEI program and basically operate the exact same way. Essentially, the whole policy was you can't discriminate against people no matter how you try to phrase it or how you try to call it. If it's discrimination, it's no longer existing. And if you're trying to actually conceal the fact that you're discriminating against people, well, then that's when you get a problem. And that's why Disney is facing that FCC probe. As for Marvel, the studio found some success with diverse heroes aside from Black Panther with films like Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings. Yeah, speaking of Shang-Chi, it really wasn't as successful as what they're trying to say. The article did talk about how it had a pretty big opening weekend, but if you actually look at the entire box office results, things weren't that good for it. So on a $150 million budget, so when you factor in marketing, that movie probably needed to make at least $550 million at the global box office in order to just break even. And while they had a decent opening weekend, they fell short of actually reaching profitability. In fact, when you look at a lot of the Marvel movies post-Endgame, you can see that the ones that were pushing diversity the most were the ones who performed the worst, except for Black Panther aside. And that's just because Black Panther Wakanda Forever was still riding the coattails of the first one, and they were trying to capitalize on Chadwick Boseman's death. But even then, the movie still made around $500 million less than what the previous movie made. So not a good sign for it. But look at stuff like The Eternals that was marketed as the gayest Marvel movie at that time. And on a $200 million budget, they only made $401 million. So not enough to reach profitability. Thor Love and Thunder, that might have been the most successful one that was trying to do a gender swap, but still reports are going around out there that they spent more than what was being reported and that they actually lost money on that one. Let's see, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, or Ant-Man and the Wasp Commie-Mania, that one lost money for the studio. The Marvels, that was a huge disaster, didn't even make back their budget, and that was definitely leaning heavily into the identity politics side of it. Captain America Brave New World, the same as that. Thunderbolts, same as that. Fantastic Four, that remains to be seen. So you can see a lot of this stuff isn't popular with movie-going audiences, and Kevin Feige continuing to double and triple down on these sort of things just shows that he is really that out of touch with audiences, or he's just going to ride this ship into the ground until eventually he gets overruled by someone like Bob Iger. Now, whether he or not Bob Iger is actually going to overrule him when it comes to X-Men remains to be seen, because that is a property just ripe for pushing some type of political agenda. But one of the good things about X-Men is that the discrimination that the X-Men face is something that could be universally applied if handled properly. But if you're going to try to lean into one demographic over the other, then you're just going to risk alienating large sections of the audience that you don't need to do. So if Bob Iger had his way, because even though Bob Iger probably believes in these sort of things, ultimately he is a businessman who is trying to make money, whereas Kevin Feige is trying to push an agenda. So I think fans should hope that the final X-Men, when it comes out, is one that is just geared towards attracting general audiences, as opposed to risking alienating large sections of them. But let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. And also, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And don't forget to click the like button and share this video out there, because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.